So the jobs that keep people stuck for decades are not the jobs people usually hate. They're the jobs where you don't have a strong emotion towards it. You don't hate it, you don't like it, the people aren't rude, they're kind of nice, and you get donuts on Fridays, and on top of that, you get a decent pay. It's a job that keeps you comfortable, and all of a sudden you spent decades and you're like, where did my life go? And I had one of those jobs and I got very lucky to get out of it, okay? So that's why in this video, I'm gonna share with you guys these 7 jobs that if you're not careful, you could get trapped in them. And before you know it, it's been decades and you're like, how the heck am I still here? And honestly, I think the most dangerous one has to be number 6 because it's a job where you basically get paid money, but you're really doing just about nothing. And you could be very comfortable and it's a big waste of time for the most part. Now, I do have to say something, guys, okay? One, this video is not hating on any jobs out there. It's just trying to show you guys that you should try to get your worth. Get as much money as possible, and you don't need to be loyal to a company because companies will let you go if they see that it's better for their bottom line. I've seen it over and over again. Number 2, I'm not the best example for this video, honestly, because when I was stuck in one of these jobs and I was just about to get a full-time position, I was loving it. I was like, it's decent, okay? Decent pay, people aren't rude, job is kind of easy, I get paid a good amount of money, right? But my dad passed away and that forced me to quit the job. And that forced me into business and into better things for the most part. So I was forced into not getting stuck in one of these jobs. So I hope this video helps a lot of people not get stuck with one of these jobs because they seem attractive, but the end of these jobs is not a good one for the mind and the soul. Mostly. Job number 1 is retail employee, okay? I worked at the Gap for about 10 minutes, okay? I'm just kidding. They came to my college, I was a student, and they had a job fair. They hired me for the holidays, you know? And if you're great, they keep you. If you're not that great, they let you go. And I was working at the Gap and I was pretty happy. I was getting paid $10 an hour. And I was like, well, this is more money than I'm getting paid at my other job because I'm getting paid $8.50 over there. But my happiness did not last long when I saw that basically the store was making about $10,000 to $20,000 every single day. And here I was making $10 an hour for folding clothes and talking to people. My happiness just went away. And when I tried to see myself in that company, I was like, well, if I stay here, I'm going to be just like this guy. He's a manager, he makes $60K, but there's really no upward mobility. I'm gonna be here for decades just to make a living wage. And that's when I decided I wasn't gonna stay here. So what would be my approach if I was in a retail job? Well, the answer is 1, take advantage of it. It is a very good spot to be in if you have aspirations to become a corporate employee for that company also. Like at the Gap, I was a sales clerk. But if I wanted to work upwards to, for example, a store operator that makes $115,000 to $150,000, well, that would be a good background to say, hey, I used to work at the retail store and I would get other jobs or whatever to try to build up to that career and work at corporate. Jobs like these are good ladders to scale up. But if you stay at the bottom, you're not going to do great and you will get stuck. Job number 2. Fast food employee. Now, I have to admire McDonald's and other fast food companies. They grab someone that knows absolutely nothing about, for example, fast food, and all of a sudden between 3 to 6 shifts, this person is just an animal, knows everything. And you have to give it up for the system that they actually have in place because it's so simple and so convenient that literally anyone can learn it without any experience. But that also means that that is the main problem. Because your job is so easy, because anyone can basically do it, well, they can't really justify paying us, for example, $70,000 to flip burgers or to cook fries or to do something like that, okay? And because they're pretty simple, well, honestly, you can easily be replaced by AI or like a robot with AI inside of it. I've gone to McDonald's where there are no people taking my order. It's just like a little robot screen and I type in my order and I pick it up. Like there is no type of warmth in there. Now that's their business and how they do their stuff, okay? But they're after profit. That's all they care about. So what would be my approach here so I don't end up being a fried cook like SpongeBob for like decades? Well, the answer would be 1, I would only take the job if I need the money. Sometimes you just need the money and you got to make things do, okay? Now, two, I would try to work there if I have aspirations, for example, for a corporate job, because McDonald's does have also a corporate side to it. And third, I would also use it if I'm interested in learning business and learning how to build systems, because guess what? These systems, honestly, they're very good, very efficient, and have been fine-tuned to take anyone and just spit out a SpongeBob, okay? Just like that. So there is value there to learn, but you just don't want to stay there for longer than you need to. And I should say something. I would look into, for example, into Chipotle and Starbucks, because they do have programs where you're able to go to college on their money, because they have those type of programs, okay? And on top of that, who has done this before? Well, the CEO of Starbucks at one point worked at Starbucks, and now he's worth a little bit over $3 billion. It's not where you start. It's all about where you're heading and what your aspirations are in life. Number three, entry-level jobs. When I was in college, my game plan was simple. I'm in school, I'm gonna study, get good grades, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna get an entry-level accountant job. And that sounded pretty basic and pretty good. And my whole idea was, I'm gonna get an entry-level position, but via my hard work and my loyalty, I'm eventually gonna work myself up to higher pay and better money for the most part. And one day, I realized that loyalty doesn't really pay off in companies. I walked into my job when I was in college, and I saw half the department leave. They were being let go. Loyal people that had been there for 10 years, 15 years being let go, because again, the business was thinking about their bottom line. And ever since then, I kind of had an appreciation for preparation, in the sense that, yeah, I'm in college, I'm getting a degree, but I also want to do internships. I want to do a bunch of different things, so when I actually go to get the job, I'm not going to start off at an entry level. That's the first thing. Get as much experience as you possibly can around your trade, around your job, your aspiration, your career, so when you actually apply for your first job, you have experience already and you don't have to start at the bottom. Working from the bottom to a decent pay can take a few years. If you can avoid that, do it. The second thing would be switch jobs every few years. I always hated the idea of switching jobs, because I always felt like, well, I'm just being disloyal, you know? These people were nice enough to give me a job, and here I am just leaving for more money. Yeah. It's not personal, it's just business. You have to be okay with that. And statistics show that basically people that tend to switch jobs every few years, they tend to make more money because they get more value for their worth. And that's actually pretty good. Don't take things personal. It's just business, and they would let you go too if they could find someone that can do your job for less money. It's just how it works, unfortunately. Number four, parking attendant. Now, I had a friend, and this friend had this job, and he told me, Tommy, this job was so easy. I would just go in and I would collect parking tickets. I would watch some cars, say some highs, say some buys, and that was basically it. And I was getting paid some good money for the most part. Now, honestly, I don't think a job like that is good for the mind, good for the soul, good for the man, okay? Because the boredom, the level of work you have to do, it just basically eats you up inside, because you know for a fact there is so much more I could do. Now, I'm not gonna act like there aren't people out there that actually like these jobs. They like doing nothing. They like just being on their phone all day and just saying, hey, I'm getting paid to do nothing. Great. But I wouldn't recommend having a life where your job is that. So what my friend did at the time was he used that job to get paid to study. Yeah, in what way? Well, the job has a lot of dead time. There's only so much time you can spend looking at a car and making sure no one is taking it. So, and there's cameras, okay? There's cameras for the most part. It's like one of those jobs that I just don't like. And he used that time to study and to get a degree, and then he went ahead and he got a job getting paid, I think it was a little bit over $60,000, $70,000, and he was able to have a kid and have a house, and he's no longer working there. So these jobs are great for what? For when you need the money, when you don't have anything to do for the most part, and it's just a starting point. But be very careful, because I do see people that end up trapped and working for decades in a parking lot or looking at something. Be careful with that. Number five, A secretary. Now, I'm not talking about an executive secretary. Those are very high level people that have a lot of complexity to their jobs and coordinate a whole bunch of things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a standard secretary that sits at a desk, picks up the phone every now and then, shows people where to go, and basically does nothing for the most part. Now, these jobs, they tend to be very attractive because it's like simple, right? Pick up the phone, I say hi, I say bye, I say it's over there, simple. But eventually what I noticed that happens with these jobs is that the people that work them get taken advantage of, because most of the time they're not really doing anything. So what do the employer actually do? Well, they go ahead and have those people do jobs that's not within their job description, and they don't pay them more money. I don't think that's fair for the most part. So my approach would be, one, if you really like helping people and you like the idea of being a secretary, well, look into becoming a executive secretary, the skills you're going to need, and building up from where you are. Number two, if you just like helping people and assisting and coordinating, and that's what you really like, well, look into jobs that can appreciate that, like coordination, like HR, like doing things like that that involve those skills that you actually like, but pay you a lot more money. Again, jobs, it matters that you like them, but it also matters that you're getting paid a good amount of money. Don't believe the hype where if you love your job, it doesn't matter how much you get paid. No. For your employer, that sounds great, right? Because you love your job, I'm gonna pay you $2 an hour. But for you, you should care about what the market rate is for your job and making sure you're getting paid what you're worth. Job number 6 is becoming a greeter. You see a lot of these folks at Walmart and also at Costco with different names. Like at Costco, these are the people that check your membership. They say hi to you. They also say bye to you. At Walmart, they're the people that check your receipts and so on. And these seem to be like pretty sweet jobs, right? All you do is stand, check a receipt, you say hi, you say bye, and you get paid money for it, okay? And it's one of those jobs that honestly, if you're not careful, you could really fall into the trap of thinking, this is a pretty good gig here I have here. I'm getting paid decent money to just say hi and bye. You don't want that because, well, maybe you do want that. And maybe you should just consider something else. For example, the way I see it is basically it's a good job to get your foot in the door. If you want to work at Costco or Walmart in a position and you can't really get in at that moment and you're able to get in as a greeter, well, once you're in as a greeter, you're able to explore other positions because you are already inside. Number 2 is you could use that job to basically learn everything you can about the company, talk to the manager, see how he manages everything, what the operation is like. All these jobs are great stepping stones, but I personally, I would never want to get to a point where my days are just full of nothing, to the point where I say I just rather be working at Walmart and just say hi and bye to people all day and check a receipt. I don't think it's the best use of my time. Now, if it's a starting point to something else, then just maybe. But that's the way I kind of see it, honestly. Job number 7, security guard. I should really be careful with this because I do see a lot of value in security guards. And I know of security guards that have risked their lives to save people and to save a company's interests. And these people are really hardcore and they really take their job seriously. That is some people. That is not all people. Who I'm talking about are those jobs where you don't have a weapon. You don't really do anything. The only presence of security that you basically have is just to sit there and act like you're looking at something. You see these a lot, for example, in college campuses. You see this a lot, for example, in some supermarkets where you have a security guard and they're just there, and you kind of a little fearful, but you kind of like, okay, what is this guy doing here? He has like a flashlight, right? But even those people in those jobs, sometimes they do express a large amount of courage trying to save somebody and stuff like that. But if you really do value, for example, like security and helping people and protecting people, well, you may want to look into, for example, like law enforcement or private security. My point is, if you have an interest in something and you're able to get in at the entry level, like security job like that, maybe work towards something that also is what you like, but pays you a lot more money and you're going to get appreciated a lot more. And here's where my experience comes from. I had a friend, good friend of mine, and he was a security guard at my college campus. And he just sat there, young guy, for hours every single day on his phone and doing absolutely nothing. And the only thing he had to show for it was a fancy car with a fancy car payment. That's basically it. But guys, that is it for this video. These are 7 jobs that if you're not careful, you could get stuck in them, because they're not jobs that are going to make you hate them. You won't really have a strong emotion towards them. They'll be good pay, they'll be around decent people, and before you know it, you might even get donuts on Fridays. But it might be a decade or 2 decades, and you're like, I've been getting paid minimum wage or a decent wage, and I haven't been really getting paid my value or my worth for the most part. So be very careful with them. Let me know which one of these you're looking to get into to get a starting point, and which one of these you just want to avoid. For me, honestly, I always have avoided fast food restaurants. I don't know why, but it's just something with me. I've always tried to avoid them. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. I appreciate it a ton. Peace.